Hey, what's up, everybody? Brian from BG 90 Day. Quick video here would be in relation to exercise. I've noticed that I've kind of been saying this at the beginning of like a lot of the videos I've been making in terms of like the workouts videos, especially. I'll mention, okay, after you get your warm up done, so it's like, okay, well, what if someone's just starting and they don't know what a good warm up kind of consists of? Or maybe like, hey, what's the point of warming up? Or this other guy told me that I shouldn't warm up. It's gonna burn too much energy for me, and I should just kind of get done what I got to get done, or whatever. Okay, so um, I do have some videos made for warm-ups that would be best for like certain workouts. Okay, but maybe you're just looking, be like, well, that's for a basketball workout. Like, I'm not doing a basketball workout. Like, I'm 50 years old. I'm not going to be jumping on boxes. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I got you. What could I do then to, satisfy this warm-up requirement? Obviously I want to get the best return on my money and my time and my effort for these workouts. You're telling me like a good warm-up is like, a thing to do. It is kind of like, imperative for a high quality session. So it's like, all right, well, what should I do? All right, let's keep it simple. I am not a huge believer that you need to warm up for like 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. I mean, if you really got to do that and it's like, oh, I got to stretch, I got to do this stuff. Okay. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. But if that's what you got to do to get your body prepped, it's like, hey, do what you got to do. All right. I'll explain my reasoning as we kind of go through this. Okay. So the first thing I would do is some type of metabolic warm up. Okay. We got to get the blood flowing. We got to get the heart rate up. So before I touch a weight, I'm going to do something and I like to get to the point. I don't need to go for a 10-minute jog. Okay. For me, it's like a time thing. Like I only got maybe an hour to do this. My lifts are going to take, 45, 50 minutes. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to warm up, I normally shoot for about 8 minutes. Okay. I want to be grabbing the bar 8, 9 minutes in. Ideally. Okay. If something happens, it takes a couple minutes longer. It's not the end of the world. So I'm saying metabolic warm up. Okay. So, and that can be whatever you have access to, whatever you're comfortable with. So like if I'm working out at home, I'll normally do a quick footwork series where I'm just moving my feet like a variety of ways. I can get that done in like 2.5 minutes, and my heart rate is normally up over like 140 to start, and then I'm going to keep moving kind of dynamically after that. It kind of depends on what I'm doing, but like sometimes I don't feel like thinking too much about it, so I'll just kind of opt for my footwork series. Sometimes I will do the bike. The bike's very efficient. I like the bike because if you're doing a total body, if I'm going pushing, pulling, okay, and then if I'm pedaling at a good rate, if I'm getting my RPMs up like over 60 for 90 seconds to 2 minutes, that's really all it's going to take to get a ton of blood flow into my quads. Okay, so treadmill can be fine if you're just like, hey, I just jog on this thing for 3 minutes. I know my speed. I know if I put it on 6.5 and I do it for 3 minutes, my heart rate's going to be around 150, and then I feel like I'm starting to break a sweat, and I'm good to go. Okay. Any type of like machine-based cardio, if that works for you, great. I like things that are going to kind of implement the whole body though, when we can. If possible. So if you have access to that stuff, great. If you just like, hey, I'm just going to do like this little, I'm just going to move my feet a little bit. Jumping rope, that could be another good option. I should actually probably add that to the sheet here. Just in case maybe you are working out at home, maybe you don't have a rower, maybe you don't have a bike, maybe you don't have a treadmill. Okay, let's not make a project out of it. Let's just kind of get it done. like I said, 2 to 3 minutes is normally all I need. So after we've done that, what do I want to do next? I want to move dynamically. Okay. If I've moved dynamically under very little or no load, um, think about it. Uh, I'm gonna be less likely to probably surprise my body if something goes wrong during one of my lifts. Okay. So like something I'll do almost every time I work out would be like those standing toe touches. I'm gonna dynamically stretch my hamstrings out. I'm gonna keep my body moving. Kind of same thing if I'm squatting, I'm going to go heel up to glute, somewhat dynamic there. So I'm kind of firing the hamstring and I'll get that little stretch at the very bottom of my quad, right above my knee. Another thing you may see people do, like if you have access to a turf or just a little bit of space, is they will dorsiflexion and then bend over and swipe the ground. So dorsiflexion is just think curling your toes back towards your shin. You're going to put like that heel out in front of you. And if you try to touch the ground, you're going to feel that hamstring stretch. Okay. Males especially have very tight hamstrings. So if I'm doing anything with my lower body, okay, I'm normally going to do some type of like dynamic hamstring movement. Another thing I'll normally do is just to kind of like, it kind of helps activate the glutes. But if I can stand on one leg and swing my other leg out to the side, okay, that would be standing hip abduction. Okay, so I'm moving my foot away from my body. Okay, and if I do that, I kind of have to use my glute and my hip to accomplish that. So I'm kind of getting some blood flow to the glute, and then also if I can get some good range on it. So I'll tell people, hey, it's okay to cheat. I can tip my shoulders to the right and let my left leg swing up nice and high out to the side. I should get a good stretch in the adductors as well. Okay. I just feel like if we do some of this stuff, we're less likely to potentially pull a hamstring or tweak like a groin or something like that. Like as we age, I think the less we kind of surprise our bodies under load, probably the better. Another good one that kind of gets everything is like I'll inchworm out. I'll get into a prone position, like I'm about to do a push-up, and I'm gonna open up my chest and try to stack my shoulders, moving my foot outside my hand. Okay, so that's another good one. Commonly referred to as like the world's greatest stretch. Sometimes if you try to go the opposite way with that, it's very hard to do, but it's a pretty serious stretch. One thing I will mention, since we're kind of in like the stretching phase, I guess, is I never hold a stretch for a long period of time before I work out. Okay, that is one thing I am not a huge proponent of. Okay, like standing and like holding this stretch, for 20-30 seconds. I'm not doing that. Okay, well, why? I thought stretching was good. I used to do that when I was in PE class in the 80s. Or okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you why. Think about it. When we're holding a stretch like that for an elongated period of time, we're actually kind of cutting blood flow off. Okay, well, when I'm beginning my warm up and I'm getting ready to do some type of strength training, especially, that's the opposite of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to promote blood flow. I'm not trying to cut blood flow off. Okay, so that is something that I am not a proponent of. I want to keep it dynamic. From there, after I feel like I've kind of done a few different movements there, and I'm starting to feel like a person. Maybe sometimes if you're working out in the morning, you might be a little stiff. It's like, all right, that's kind of why we're doing all this stuff. And then thirdly, I like to get into some form of like muscle activation. Okay. Now bands, I think, are a great tool for this. So if you have access to bands, any type of bands is good. But what do you mean? Muscle activation bands? Yeah, I got these rubber band things. I don't really know what I'm doing with them. Okay. So just a couple quick examples. So like, let's say you have those little loopy bands. You can, if I'm doing like some type of horizontal press day, okay. So I've mentioned recently I've been working on like a close grip bench press. I want to make sure I hit my rotator cuffs. That's normally the weakest link. Those are the smallest muscles. So what I can do is I can hook my thumbs inside the band, and I'm going to pull it apart as I pull it in to my chest. Okay. Um, this kind of goes along between the dynamic warm up and the muscle activation. If I had to add another like category, I would say like movement prep. Okay. I normally do that though. The reason I didn't do that is I normally kind of address that with the muscle activation. Okay. So like if I'm doing some type of like pull day, okay. Well, yeah, I can just set up a band like around the squat rack and I'll work on just some pulling technique with a nice light band. Okay. If my like shoulder's been bothering me a little bit, I may do some Y's and some low T's with a light band. Okay. Any muscle that I'm trying to hit that day, if we can spend just 15 to 20 seconds doing a quick set with the band on in a potentially similar movement pattern that you're going to be moving the weight in, I think that's a good move. Okay. So after we've done that, after we've kind of got the heart rate up, we got the blood flowing, we get our core temp up, we move dynamically because we want our muscles getting into some like closer to like those end ranges, just in case we do get there under load, our body's not surprised, hopefully a little bit less chance for injury. After we've done that, we'd like to we want to get the muscles turned on. Okay. That first set's going to be hard. Especially if you're one of these people to go like right to your working sets, which I think could be an okay way to do it. I would say it probably depends a little bit on what's your first lift. So what are you doing that day? Also like where are you at in your program? Okay. So like if you're just like starting out, what you might want to do, and maybe you're limited on equipment, etc. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's say I'm doing a incline dumbbell press today. Oh, okay. All right. So I want to hit the chest. So I want to start out with a really strong chest movement, something that's really going to hit my pecs. Oh, okay. Well, I like dumbbell incline for that. So if that's what I were starting with, all right. Are you just getting into it? If so, you might be working in a little bit higher rep ranges. So you might just be doing like, hey, I'm just doing 4 sets of 8 or maybe even like 5 sets of 10. Like I'm at the point where I'm just trying to get the movement down and maybe build a little bit of muscular endurance, let the brain start to memorize this movement again. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I'm coming back to it. I get it. I know how to do this. I've done this before. It's been maybe a few months since you've done it, whatever. Okay. So if you're in like that phase of the program, then yeah, maybe just go kind of straight to it. For me, I just finished like a barbell hack squat, where I was getting up to like doing sets of like 3. Okay. Right now I'm in a similar phase. I'm actually doing like some heavier singles. I'm working up to heavier singles in doubles, on that close grip bench. All right. So I wouldn't go straight to those sets. I'll start with the bar. Okay. And then I'll throw 135 on. And I'm not really trying to go to like maximal intensity there. Like I'm not trying to go to a failure on like a warm up set. Like that's not the set I care about. The sets that I care about are the heavier doubles and singles. So it's all about prepping my body at that point. So like if you wanted to, I don't really include that in the muscle activation part, but that's just once you get to the first set, or your first lift, I should say, just have a plan for how you're going to address the first set. Like, are you just kind of getting right into your working sets? Or a lot of times what I recommend people do, if you're working a little bit heavier, so if you have a good amount of experience with this lift, you've been doing it for maybe a few months at this point, maybe do like a warm-up set where you're doing really lightweight, maybe a little bit higher reps, maybe even 8 to 10. And then you're going to get into like kind of serious weight. And I would probably pare the reps down to maybe just above what you're doing for your working set. So like if you're doing like 3 sets of 5, like pretty heavy, where you're going to like maybe an 8, 8.5, 9 out of 10 on your RPE scale. I would probably do like less weight and maybe like one more rep. So I would do maybe like a set of 10, pretty light, like a set of maybe like 6, but I'm leaving plenty of reps in the tank. And then I'll get to my heavy sets and I'll bang out however many is in your program. Typically what I'll recommend for that is normally just if you do 3 heavy sets at a pretty high RPE, chances are that's good enough for that particular lift. And I would say also, and obviously depending on your program, chances are you're going to be doing more sets for those muscles. You're just going to be utilizing different lifts. So I don't think you need to like, well, I got to do 7 sets. It's like, all right, what else are you going to do that day then? Because you're probably, if you're doing that many sets at a really high intensity, chances are you're going to kind of wipe yourself out. So, yeah, I think this is kind of where we could probably leave this one. I don't want to make it too long, but I do want to make sure people do have like a plan for doing some type of warm up, or like if maybe you're like, hey, I've been doing this thing for kind of years. That maybe I could, but I never did any activation, or maybe I was doing like these long hold stretches and I'm like, you know what? I don't really know if that's been helping me or not. Maybe I can try something a little different. I just figure I give everyone some ideas, let you know what I do, let you know what I recommend to my clients. And we'll go from there. All right. Any questions? If you feel like you need a different warm up for a different strength day, something to that effect, whatever you need, know that I'm always here for you. Hit me on those socials, text, email. Let's get this thing figured out for you so you can have the best sessions possible. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.